Ever wondered why your exposure shifts even when you have your shutter speed and ISO locked in and you're using the Blackmagic Camera app? Now, this is something that I just discovered recently. Back then, before Apple introduced the iPhone 8, we did not have computational photography, but this technology was already being deployed by companies like Google in their Android phones. So people say that when Apple gets onto a trend or onto a new technology that some other companies are already doing, they do it even better. Now, I don't know if that's true. Google was already doing computational photography, and Apple decided to get onto computational photography and introduced it into their phones when they introduced the iPhone 8. We're gonna go down to the river valley, into the bushes. So when they introduced computational photography in the iPhone 8, the camera's sensor was programmed in a way that when you hit the shutter button, the camera would take multiple images with different exposures and contrast levels, put those images together, merge them into one image, giving you an image with a higher dynamic range, good exposure, good contrast, good highlight detail, and good shadow detail. In other words, your image would be well exposed. Ooh, the slope. Holy moly. You could go that way or go this way. There's a lot of trash here. People just put a lot of trash. The water is still. So that's what happened with computational photography. It was actually primarily designed for photography and not videography. But unfortunately, while this feature is designed for photography in the iPhone, it also creeps into video. So when Apple introduced computational photography in their iPhone 8, this just disrupted iPhone film making because it introduced another element of dynamic tone mapping. And what dynamic tone mapping essentially does is the camera's sensor is literally taking multiple images at a given speed. Let's say you're filming at 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second, 60 frames per second, whatever your frame rate is. It's taking these multiple images and it's applying some sort of tone curve in order to give your video a balanced exposure. But while that was the case, this introduced a very weird shift in exposure when you filmed in Rec 709 or Rec 2020. And it really didn't matter whether you used the proprietary inbuilt camera app of the iPhone or even just use the Blackmagic Camera app like I am right now, you would still experience dynamic tone mapping. For example, if you looked at one of my clips right here, you will notice that the exposure shifts when I get closer to the camera. Now that is dynamic tone mapping in action. Some filmmakers such as Steven Soderbergh complained about this dynamic tone mapping thing that was happening with the iPhone, which is why in 2023 Apple introduced Apple Log in their iPhone 15. Of course, if you're just shooting quick video and you do not need to do any kind of post-production work, then you can just shoot in Rec 709 or Rec 2020. But that comes with digital sharpening and you also get to experience dynamic tone mapping. But how do you get rid of that? And the solution is Apple Log. Someone made a pit fire here. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. What's that? Okay, just a second.
Yeah, I just helped out someone back and just two heads of it. Teamwork.
Yeah, I was telling you about the benefit of shooting in Apple Log. You get rid of digital sharpening and you also get rid of dynamic tone mapping. But the other extra benefit of shooting Apple Log is you get so much dynamic range because you're able to pull up your highlights or bring them down, bring up your shadows or bring them down depending on what your situation is. But the other extra benefit of doing that is color grading. You have a ton of flexibility when color grading in post-production when shooting in Apple Log. So there you have it. If you ever wondered why your exposure shifts in a very weird way when filming with a Blackmagic Camera app and you have your parameters locked in, it's because of dynamic tone mapping. I'm going through the bushes. Train is right up there. If you found the video helpful, give it a like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to say hi. to your mom. I love you guys and peace out. I was at the train station waiting for the train, then realized I don't have my glasses. Reviewed the video, realized the last scene I captured, that was when I had them last. And the train is right there. Missed it. Shit.